Well, with Marcos's advantage now taken away, he knows a fight's coming, so he's probably got a few things up his sleeve. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, and this is my review of The Expanse Season 6, Episode 3. Now, we open up as we have every episode this season on Laconia, so I was right, we're getting very sneak peeks into this for the rest of the season, which is only 3 episodes, and we do get a little bit of more of Laconia at the end of this episode as well, but I'll get to that later on. So the dead bird is now seemingly back to life, but what this means in the greater sense of the show, I don't know, but I've got a feeling that they are setting something up here. If you've read the books, you know a little bit about reincarnation and sort of that things like that go on in Laconia. I'm not going to spoil it in case it ever does become something that gets developed in the future, but I think this might be something that they're building on. But back to the other side of the rings, and the UN and Mars are after Marco. They're at Ceres, which he appears to have abandoned. And yeah, he has. He's just basically fucked off and left it. He's completely stripped it bare. He's left the civilians, but there's no real sort of technology to build a ship or arm a ship or, fight back. All the defences and things are gone. He's left the civilians there, and Marco isn't stupid. He's done this for a reason. Once Christian and the UN meet the station administrator, they pretty much click onto the reason that Marco's done this. He's not a fool and he's not given up the crown jewel of his territories. What he's done is create a problem that the UN and Mars have to deal with, because there's basically shortages of everything. Food, water, you name it. Ceres is basically on its way out, so it's got a huge humanitarian crisis. And given what's going on Earth, you can see why this is going to cause a little bit of problems for the UN and the rest of the good guys. He's crippled Ceres, as I said, so Earth's got a huge problem that they can either help them or let them die, and obviously they're not going to do that. So Marco is playing the long game here, and this is one of the first signs that he's willing to sell out his people to save himself. I said that in my last episode, but the only way that I see this guy going down is him getting sold out by his own people, and we do get several strong hints of that throughout the episode. But this is shown as just what kind of level this guy's playing on. He knows that not every victory comes from a direct battle. You can't just kill your opponent and hope that's it over. There's a lot more to victory than that. And it's not all roses in the OPA in the belt. You see Philip watching the headlines of increased violence and tension, and Marco seems to be reigning with an iron fist. There's several mentions of outbreaks and disturbances and even executions and trials and things like that. So although he's preaching freedom, it doesn't exactly seem that's what this guy is delivering. And his own people are worried that he can't handle what's coming after them either. Marco comes up with the idea to stage hit and run attacks, but he's beginning to become aware that people are starting to question him. And his son's amongst them. Philip really goes up against his dad in this episode, and the glory of the campaign and the legacy of Marco and Aros and the shine has pretty much come off that quick, and they're just left, well, let's be honest, a big flaming bag of turds. But while all this is going on, his ship spots the Rocci that's on its way to Ceres. Marco's got 3 ships in his fleet, so they're outmanned and outgunned, and he's out for blood. He's got no reason to hunt them down. It's a waste of fuel, it's a waste of resources. This guy's got other places to be, but his ego just wants to take down Holden, and I think more importantly than that, he wants to challenge Philip to see if he's on his side. He puts Philip in the gunner's seat, which means that he knows that Philip's going to have to make the decision to fire the missile at the Rossi and effectively kill his mother. Again, Marco isn't stupid. He plays on a very high level, much higher than everyone else, which is why he's got to where he is in the world. Now, as I said, the Rossi's on its way to Ceres. Holden is looking hell of a rundown. He does leave Peaches in charge while he decides to go for some sleep, so it seems that him accepting her into the crew comes with a bit more responsibility than she was ready for. She's still not fully recovered from last week's battle, and using her mods seems to be having longer and more negative side effects, and she knows it. She's also thinking about the other cost of using them, and that's killing people. She's never used these mods and it hasn't ended in violence. And while we've seen more of Clarissa over the season, or Peaches I should call her, We haven't really seen her deal with her past and what she's done since she first showed up all the way back in season 3. In this episode, there's a lot of heavy reflection for a lot of characters, and I'm going to get to that in a second as well. But we do get to see the crew, or at least the kind of new configuration of the crew on Rocci, really work together in this episode. And I'm loving the Bobby and Amos scenes that we're getting. I wish we'd get time for more of them, or I wish we'd did some of them earlier on. These guys are really working together. I can never tell if it's banter or it's a little bit flirty. It's kind of hard to tell. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, as I mentioned, there's a lot of reflection that goes on here. Bobby and Amos talk all the way back to the events of the Canterbury in season 1 and how far they've come, and what the sort of general view was at the time, how everyone was against the crew of the Rocinante because they thought that they were behind this big conspiracy. So it's just reminding us of where these characters were and where these characters are now. Naomi's also still dealing with the fallout of last week, and she confesses about her PSD, or PTSD I should say, to Holden, and this is probably the lowest that we've ever seen her. I did say in the last few episodes the crew are getting worn down, but emotionally Naomi just seems like she's got an anchor around her neck all the way through this season, and it's completely understandable, and at some point or another she's going to have to start dealing with it. But Holden, he's pretty cool about the whole situation. He basically says, look, if I'd been through everything you'd been through, how would you feel about me? And that kind of puts her at ease. He tries to distract her as well by giving her the information to look into the disappearance of the ring ships, and she does realise that there is a pattern that ships are disappearing at certain times, but we don't really get any more than that. She says she needs more data, and she's probably going to get it, or at least I hope she does before the season ends. We do get a few older characters pop up as well. We get the pastor played by Elizabeth Mitchell from season 3, and we get Prax, who I never thought Prax would come back to this show, so it was good to see him pop up. He sends a secret video message to Amos, and basically he's stuck on one of the outposts that's under the control of Marcos. And he mentions one of the events of a local scientist getting killed because they thought she was part of the Earther side or a spy for Earth. But what's happened is they found out a way to basically super grow food very quickly, which is going to solve a lot of problems, especially the ones that have just popped up on series. So if they're going to open this up into a sort of A or B plot, I don't know how they're going to do it in the next 3 episodes. I just wonder where this all fits in, because they've never really let the writing down on this show, but it did feel a little bit fan servicey with these 2 characters coming back this week. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, I'm just saying I was pretty surprised by it. Now, Marco catches up with the Rossi, and Holden realises pretty much straight away that they're out of there. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we get to see the new crew work together. They manage to hold off the attack and get away, and at one point they even have Marco dead to rights, but Holden wants him as a prisoner, not as a dead martyr. So they do launch a missile, but Holden actually manages to disable it before it hits the Pella. He was probably doing it for Naomi because he realises, like Marco, that her son is on board that ship. In fact, more than half her family technically are on board that ship. So that's why he wanted them alive. He knows that Naomi can't really take any more of an emotional beating than what she's been through in the last 6 months, and he wants to spare her from that. Whether there's going to be consequences of this, of course there is, because it's the Expanse. It reminded me of that time when Naomi hid the proto-molecule and kept it secret from everyone else. That took a few episodes to catch up with, so I think this is going to catch up with Holden and the crew at some point, because they've effectively let away a war criminal and a very, very intelligent, dangerous one at that. After the fight, and Marcos basically has to scamper for his life, Philip openly questions his father, and the cracks are really beginning to show, not just in the OPA and the Belters, but in Marcos himself. The guy is coming apart, everyone around him can see it, he's miles out of his league, despite how far forward he can think. He doesn't really deal with things on the fly well, and the fact that he let his emotions overcome and draw him into this battle that he didn't lose, but he didn't win either. So it appears that the clock is ticking for Marcos, but he might have a surprise up his sleeve, as at the end of the episode he gets a video from the other side of the ring, and it does appear to be a sort of proto-molecule ship from Laconia. We don't get any more details on that, but again, if you've read the books you can pretty much guess which direction this is going in. There's also a bombing on series, and I'm not talking about a small bang either. It looks to be absolutely catastrophic. I would imagine it'd be hundreds, if not thousands, of casualties. So there's going to be fallout from that next week as well. But with only 3 episodes to go, this show is keeping up the pace, and I have to say I'm loving it, although I'm dreading every week that I'm getting less and less to enjoy. But what did you guys think? Is Expanse Season 6 living up to the hype? Is the writing still as strong? And is the space pornography still as sexy? Don't answer that last question, of course it is. My name's Al, and thanks for watching. Not just watching this video, but watching and supporting the channel if you've been doing that all year. If you haven't, this is your chance. Leave a like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting more videos, more of the Expanse, some Foundation stuff, and all the Marvel and Star Trek stuff you can think of as well. If you've watched any of my videos this year, again, thank you. It does mean so much. I hope you enjoy the holidays and take care of yourself.